right, so check out this video of Reggie Miller, who's now 53, shooting threes at the Pacers facility.
Okay, still got it.
Wet, get it. That's what they say when they make buckets, Jenna. Yeah, that's what they. That's their terminology.
Reggie will be able to shoot. And that's hitting all bottom of the net too.
Well, talk to me about that. No rim. They should give him 4 points. NBA players are like, did that hit the rim? Don't hit the rim. Give him an extra point.
Absolutely. That's like the Steve Kerr, Steph Curry free throw competition. You lose a point if it hits the rim, even if it goes in. Now Reggie will be able to shoot forever.
Yeah, he's top.
How's your jump shot today?
It wouldn't do what Reggie doing.
Okay, all right. Okay, no problem.
See, this is the thing, though. Give me 10 shots to warm up, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want any smoke from Antoine.
Warm up. Let me warm up.
None whatsoever.
All right, let's talk about your former team, Antoine. The Celtics, they got blown out by 23 points to the Toronto Raptors. For the Celtics, their biggest loss of this season. Kyrie, who just days ago said nobody could beat this team in 7 games, was held to just 7 points. We see you, Kyrie. Boston has dropped 5 of their last 7 games. So what's going on with this Boston team? Is it the chemistry with the guys? Is it the effort? Is it the coaching? Here's Marcus Smart when asked what he thinks is wrong with this team.
We're just not together. The last couple of years we were together, and whenever things hit, we become stronger. We're not there yet. And like I said, we're going to get there. It's just taking time.
Marcus said that you guys aren't playing together. Is that a fair diagnosis?
Is Marcus in pain?
Is it yours? Brad talked about just defensively, you guys have been taking shortcuts. So do you see that, and how do you guys fix things like that at this point in the season, you feel like?
I don't know, it's up to Brad.
Cece, how do you explain what has been going on with this Boston team in this most recent stretch?
It's really hard to explain. I mean, as talented as they are, and they were adding, after last year's run in the playoffs, they were adding 2 All-Stars in Gordon Hayward, not knowing where he was going to be, but he was a former All-Star, and Kyrie Irving. We thought Kyrie Irving would be back to All-Star form, which he has been, having one of his best seasons individually. But to me, what I'm seeing is, and if we listen to everything they said, they don't like being around each other, but I'm shocked because I watch these sound bites of players and everything, and what I'm starting to find out is, it's hard to explain why you lose. And I keep seeing guys struggle with it. They struggle with the questions and everything. And it's hard to explain why now is it so hard, Antoine, for the NBA players and just that constant media every day. Because I know I went under it, but now I'm starting to see it. But it seems like every game we're getting, they can't explain why they're losing. What are we watching right now?
It's unfortunate, but, you know, you want to be a leader in this league, in the NBA, you have to be able to take the good with the bad. And one thing about being a leader, you got to, when the team is rolling, you're supposed to take the praise. You're supposed to praise your team and your teammates. But if you're the leader of the team and when things are going bad, you kind of shoulder the blame and take it on yourself as the leader of the team. And players respect that. And they usually respond to that. And Kyrie Irving, it goes back to the phone call that he makes with LeBron James. He's not a leader. He's a great player. He's a superstar in this league. I would love to have him on my team. He's a closer.
Do you think we just appoint great players, leaders more often, and we miss on that?
Oh, without question. We always do that. Sometimes you don't know behind the scenes who's the leaders on the team. Sometimes you pick up a veteran guy and he's the leader on the team. But in this situation, you can tell that they don't have no togetherness. I talked about that earlier. Nobody's going to dinner together. Nobody's hanging out. They're playing the games. And they're 13 games over 500. They're not having that bad of a season. But the goal was probably 60, 65.
Yeah.
Probably, contend for a title.
It's the weight of expectations.
Yeah. And they're not living up to it. And obviously those guys haven't bought in completely. The Jason Tatums, Jaylen Brown, whether the success they had last year, they feel like they should be in better spots, better roles. They haven't bought into it. And that goes, you got to start with Brad Stevenson on that. And then Kyrie Irving being the best player on the team.
During this 3-game losing streak, they've lost 5 of 7, but these 3 games since the break, they lose a 1-point game in Milwaukee. There's no shame in that. You get beat badly by the Bulls. There's some shame in that. And then you get whooped by the Raptors, a team you're going to have to go through. What is most notable about those 3 games is every single one of those games, they had a lead after the first quarter, and every single one of those games, they got annihilated in the second quarter once the bench unit came on. Is that something that can also add to some of the lack of continuity within the team that, all right, the starters got us in one spot, and then all of a sudden, by the time the full start lineup is back in midway through the second quarter, we're fighting uphill because the bench unit, which was supposed to be one of the strengths of the Celtics, has let go of the rope already.
Well, most teams, they come out the All-Star break, you probably had 25, 26 games. So most coaches going to put the schedule on the board, what we need to be at. We're starting to think about seeding, where you're going. The Celtics right now in the 5th seed, they're probably going to, I got them finishing 4. I think they catch Indiana.
Right.
So they're going to play probably Philly. Or they play in the first round, so they may be able to get out the first round.
Right, but then it'd be Milwaukee.
But now it's going to be Milwaukee or Toronto.
Yep.
Probably going to be Milwaukee. And the season ends then. And that's where the disappointment comes in at, because the expectation was much higher. And sometimes you got to avoid teams that you're not good against, that just have your number. All these things take place after All-Star break, and I don't see it with the Celtics. And it's those certain games you want to see where you at. Last night was a
Test
game.
yourself.
You want to
Okay,
see.
yeah.
You want to see where you at. You want to see what guys play well against this team, certain matchups, and they laid an egg last night and got blown out.
So the leadership issue is an interesting one, because we've talked about the guys playing. We talked about Gordon Hayward coming back and the system and Kyrie and all of it. But can you win with a superstar but without a leader on your team? I mean, is that the one thing that seems to be missing with these guys? Leadership, something that you always talk about this, Antoine. These guys don't go out to eat together. These guys don't do things together. Is that what this team might be missing?
I think they are missing. I think when you see Kyrie Irving call LeBron James and ask him for leadership advice, I think obviously it's on the court and it's off the court. But that's something Kyrie has to be willing to do, regardless of with the Celtics the rest of this season or even going forward in his career, whether or not he wants to be that 1A guy. Or do he want to go join a Kevin Durant where he can be the 1A guy and he can take a back seat? He did a great job with the cameras being in LeBron James' face and not having to answer the big questions.
Right. I think some things that people miss when you're talking about a leader on the team, there's different levels of leadership. No one just has one leader. Like, you need other lieutenants, other people that have the authority to be able to do certain things, say certain things to certain guys. And for me, Al Horford has done a good job because he sacrificed his role. He's a max player and everything, but he sacrifices for this team. They play well with him on the court. You have not heard people say one negative thing about Al Horford. Marcus Moore, he can play for me. He can play basketball for me. He plays hard on both ends. He brings a certain grit to the court every day. And look at how other players respond to him. He's been a good leader. Now, how are we going to finish out games? Is this my team? Some of them little particular things that I know are very, very important to Kyrie Irving. When he demanded getting out of Cleveland, he demanded going certain places because he wanted his own team. Boston was not that team. And all these other top teams we have in the NBA, you can say they have one thing in common. One guy knows that's their team. And regardless of how deep Golden State is, that's Steph Curry's team. Go up and down. We even talked about Denver being the only team questioned about, okay, whose team is this of the top 8 teams? Boston, whose team is this? Is it Kyrie Irving's team? No, because if he would have had more positive comments talking about the summer and pending free agency.
To add to that, Chris, one thing about being a Celtic, I played there 7.5 years, is you get that pride when you're in that building and you're around all those ex-players, because they're still very much connected to it. And you want to be a Celtic. And I said this last time I was on the show, I don't believe he's a true Celtic. I think he's in a situation where he knew he had 2 years. If it works out, we do something special, I may stay, but now I got an opportunity. I'm going to be a free agent this summer to go where I want to go. And you could tell by his comments. I mean, last night, you still 13 games over 500. You still in there. You lost. I mean, you had a bad game, but you're going to defend your team and say, we're going to move on. But to have no comments and to leave the other players out to dry, leave Marcus Smart comment out to dry, lets you know how concerned he is about being on the Celtics.
But what we're talking about, the level of play demanded and the level of leadership demanded, we cannot just be nonchalant about how few players have ever reached that caliber. I can be an MVP caliber player throughout the year, be a leader of the team, and we can win a championship with me as the guy. Since Jordan retired, there's 7 guys that check that box. Shaq, Duncan, D. Wade, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, LeBron, and Steph. That we have had a bunch of great players over the last 20-some years. Kevin Durant has not checked that box yet, right? Like Giannis has not. Kawhi, as great as he wasn't the guy, the leader. So Kyrie, it's not unfair to say he's not that yet. Most guys never are that. Most guys never get to that level. And they need that from him. But the other thing they need is for guys to play better. Listen, they didn't get 2 All-Stars. They got 1 All-Star back because Gordon Hayward's not an All-Star. And they need Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier, and to a lesser extent, Jason Tatum, to understand, you know what? This year might not have been as fun as the playoff run was. But another playoff run will be very fun. And if we pull the rope in the same direction, we're more likely to go on that playoff run. Because otherwise, this Celtics team is poised right now to be one of the most disappointing teams in recent memory. They were projected for the 2nd most wins in the NBA this year. Right now, they'd be out in the 1st round, lucky to be out only in the 2nd.
I believe you can play football at a high level professionally and not like each other, because you got certain roles and stuff to play. I do not believe as a basketball and as a basketball family, Antoine, that you can be successful and not like each other. In the Celtics right now, we have heard that repeated theme. Don't like playing, don't like being here, not having a good time. For me, it's hard to be a championship team when you don't like those 12 to 15 guys.
2 championships I got with Miami, I told you the story, 15 strong. We was a very together group. In college, when I won a national championship, we are right now on a group chat. All 15 guys still friends together. We still talk together. It's 2016, we celebrate our 20-year anniversary. We're still good friends. So usually when you're friends, you usually can win some things.
Tell Ron Mercer we say what's up.
We're on a group chat. Text you at the commercial break. Antoine, thank you so much. Coming up, what's the most important thing Kyler Murray has to prove at the Combine? That's next on First Things First.
Man, Jenna just can't help herself. We talking about a 20-year championship group chat. Jenna's like, I got group chat too, y'all.